Hey, Battle Bill here with another video, and today we're going to get into some more Great League Go Battle League battles. So, we have an extension on Season 1. If you check in-game, you can see that extension is apparently until May 11th, which gives about a week or so of time to try and finish Season 1 strong. And because we have access to all the leagues, I will be specifically focusing on Great League battles. And honestly, my past 4 videos have been all double Mud Boys, so I kind of felt bad about that. So I'm deciding to change this up a little bit, and I'm actually going to take a team that was recommended by a subscriber in the comment section. So before I get into this video, and before I talk about the team, if you have a team you'd like to see me test out, I have no problem dedicating one of my 5 sets a day to using your team. So even though I'm trying to finish Season 1 strong and get over that 3,000 ELO rating, I have no problem dedicating one out of my 5 sets to a team you recommend in the comment section. So please, recommend me a Great League team. I will use that. I'll be specifically focusing on Great League battles. And the team that was recommended to me here was Ludicolo, Stunfisk, and Marowak. Ludicolo's running Bubble, Energy Ball, and Ice Beam. Stunfisk is running Thundershock, Mud Bomb, and Discharge. And the Alolan Marowak is running Fire Spin, Bone Club, and Shadow Ball. And we're going to get into some battles. We're going to talk about what I was hoping to see, and we're going to talk about what I ended up seeing, and we're going to talk about how these battles went over, and we'll talk about some strengths and weaknesses, and just cut me a little slack because it was a recommended team. I only dedicated this one set to it. I didn't practice much with it, but I'm hoping that as I look through these battles, I'll learn, and you guys will learn. And honestly, I think I just got really unlucky with this set. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about what I was hoping to see. I decided to lead with Ludicolo. I think that's what the subscriber and also, I'll shout you out if you want me to. Just let me know in the comment section if that's what you want me to shout you out, that you recommended the team. But the way they recommended the team was with Ludicolo first. So that's what I ended up doing as a lead. And I was hoping to run into... I'm trying to get myself comfortable, I'm sorry. I'm trying to run into Azumarill or Altaria leads. That's what I'm hoping for, because Ludicolo will beat out Azumarill with Energy Ball. And then, as long as the Altaria doesn't shield twice, the Ludicolo will win out that lead against Altaria with the Ice Beams. So, its first match is up against Shingami. I missed the rest of the name, I apologize. I'm going in with the Ludicolo on a Bastiodon. You know how often I see Bastiodon as a lead? Not very often at all, so I was already trying to figure out how I want to play this out. Luckily, my bubbles are super effective, but neither Energy Ball or Ice Beam are going to deal super effective damage here. I know Ice Beam will be resisted, so I'm going to go for the Energy Ball and deal as much neutral damage as possible. Unfortunately, the smackdowns from Bastiodon are slowly adding up. I also didn't want to switch out, considering I didn't know how this matchup played out. So I didn't really want to give up switch advantage without seeing how this plays out first. My opponent goes for their charge move, ends up being Flamethrower. Ludicolo's Water and Grass, so that only deals neutral damage. And now I'm going for another charge move here, hoping to land the Energy Ball. I don't think a combination of this and the bubbles would take out the Bastiodon. So we're not exactly off to the best start here. My opponent decides a shield, so I'm like, okay, you're definitely committing to winning lead. I'll swap out, and I'll see what you have in the back. I swap in Stunfisk, and where's a Blossom coming from? You know how many Blossoms I've seen in Go Battle League? None. I don't understand how the algorithm works, because, I mean, I was running double Mud, which would have been super weak to Blossom, but then again, Skarmory may be able to handle it. I don't know. It was just, I was so confused. Either way, I'm going for a Discharge here. I thought Blossom was part grass and poison, which is why the first charge move I threw was a Mud Bomb. I was hoping that would be neutral. Learned the hard way, it's only grass, and it's just going to completely commit to Razor Leafing me down. I should have gone for that Mud Bomb. I got greedy trying to go for the Discharge, but I bring in my Marowak here, and I'm trying to commit to Fire Spinning this thing down. I know that no matter what Blossom throws, it's most likely either going to be a Leaf Blade or a Sludge Bomb, which means it's not really going to hurt me too much, but that Blossom really farmed down my Stunfisk, so my opponent's getting to 2 Leaf Blades here, and I'm kind of forced to shield one of them, because Ludicolo is practically dead, and if I don't shield this, then Marowak's going to be really close to being dead. So I didn't have a choice there. I end up committing to the farm down, and I have a decent amount of energy. I'm kind of expecting the Bastiodon to come in, just because the smackdowns will be super effective. And so once that comes in, I go for the Bone Club immediately, hoping to grab that last shield, or to take out the Bastiodon, because the Bone Club would do enough. I go for the swap, but I realize that we CMP tied, so I'm like, alright, I have no choice but to commit to this. and I end up shielding, which most likely it ends up being a Stone Edge, and I don't think I ended up swapping again. I was like, you know what, forget it. I'm just going to throw another Bone Club, and I'm going to hope whatever you have in the back, my Marowak with a little bit of energy and barely any health can beat. So what we're gonna see here is a Medicham, and this ended up being a V1 Pokemon in the back that my practically dead Marowak could beat. So I got really bailed out in this first match. The matchups weren't looking too great, and as much as this team does have a lot of coverage, and Stunfisk does send off charge moves pretty quick, I don't know. I didn't feel like I was applying a lot of pressure so far, even in that battle. I got lucky though. Shadow Ball literally one-shots Medicham. So I win the first match. Look like I'm off to a good start, and I kind of am just feeling bailed out. So honestly, I'll take it. It's 1-0. I'm still trying to learn the team, still trying to get a feel for it, and we're going to get into the second battle. I also was like debating to myself in the moment, maybe I want to change leads. And honestly, what you're going to see here is I probably should have. But let's go into the second match up against Daniel DJ. And I'm still committing to the Ludicolo lead, hoping to see an Altaria, like I'm about to see right here, or an Azumarill. I get an Altaria, and I know how this matchup plays out only because I literally ran the simulation. I was like, you know what, let me go on PvPoke and just see how Ludicolo does against some of the meta Pokemon that I'll most likely run into as leads. And I know I can win this, but I guess my opponent knows that as long as they commit 2 shields, they can also win this. So they shield the first Ice Beam, they go for a Sky Attack, and apparently it takes the exact same amount of quick moves and energy for me to get to an Ice Beam than for the Altaria to get to a Sky Attack with Dragon Breath. So we keep on CMP tying, and Ludicolo must have a higher attack stat because the Ludicolo ends up winning the CMP tie each time. The issue I'm going to run into here is after I throw this Ice Beam, you're going to notice how much health my Ludicolo has, and I don't think it has enough health to survive enough Dragon Breaths to get to another Ice Beam. So I end up letting the Sky Attack go through, and I kind of felt like I was forced to. I didn't have much of a choice. I was worried the Dragon Breaths were going to take me out, and I decided to save the shield. I bring in Marowak, and my hope is that I can throw enough Fire Spins, land the Shadow Ball, and take out this Altaria at this health. But they get to a charge move here. It's going to end up being a Sky Attack. I don't have a choice but to shield it. I know that if I brought in Stunfisk, Stunfisk would resist the Sky Attacks, but the discharges would, they would do neutral damage. I don't know. They would do less damage than the Shadow Ball would do, and the Altaria just had so much health left that I kind of felt forced to bring in Marowak. I end up landing that. It doesn't take as much health as I was hoping, so I'm like, you know what? Let's try and time a swap. I time it perfectly. We got a little weird lag there because, you know, even when Niantic fixes servers and whatnot, they still can't seem to get this perfectly right for whatever reason. Either way, I get the Sky Attack to land on my Stunfisk, luckily, and I'm just going to commit to the farm down. My opponent realizes this and brings in their Hypno, and I'm like, okay, how do I want to play this out? Both of these are neutral. Discharge does more damage, so I'm going to just continue to throw as many discharges at this Hypno as possible. Obviously, I would have preferred my Marowak on this Hypno to try and land the Shadow Ball, but that didn't work itself out too well. I'm going to commit to the discharges. I'm going to hope the switch timer can run out because I really am worried that this Hypno is running Ice Punch. We get a little bit more lag there, and we're getting a little bit more lag. I get an extra Thunder Shock through because I'm just like confused as to what's happening. And then I'm worried this is going to be an Ice Punch and take out my Stunfisk, and I'm absolutely screwed. Ends up being a Fire Punch, which I found fascinating. I don't really know the logic in running Fire Punch over Ice Punch, mostly because both of them are going to be super effective against grass. So at least Ice Punch gives you the versatility against like Altarias. But regardless, I decide to then swap in my Marowak, go for a Bone Club, and try and finish off this Hypno. Issue is, the Altaria, yes, is almost dead, but my opponent has a full Pokemon in the back, and both Marowak and Stunfisk are practically dead here. So I don't think this team has like any specific Pokemon that deals a high enough attack. Because even here, this ends up being a positive matchup for me. Like, Marowak and Stunfisk against Registeel is like a winning situation in a majority of conditions. But Marowak doesn't have any health left, and Stunfisk, when it comes back in, doesn't have any health left either. So I'm just like, what do I do here? I guess my opponent was trying to catch a Bone Club, but like I didn't even have enough health to get to a Bone Club. And then I was hoping I could dish Thunder Shock down, which I did because the Altaria barely had any health. But that Registeel left with a bunch of energy, and all it needs right here is a Flash Cannon to take out my Stun. Oh, he goes for the full Focus Blast. But that ends up taking out my Stunfisk. And after 2 matches, we're 1-1, and I'm not sure how I'm feeling about the team. I'm not sure if it's more of me running into unfortunate matchups because I technically lost the lead in that match because my opponent decided to commit both shields. I need to double check the simulation on PV Poke for the 2 shields if I would have survived those Dragon Breaths, because then I definitely should have committed to going for 2 Ice Beams there. Or not 2, 3 Ice Beams there. And then the first match, I lost that lead because Ludicolo just doesn't have the charge moves to deal with Bastiodon. So, interesting situation so far. Now, let's get into the third match of the set. I'm committing to the Ludicolo lead, but I'm going to find out quick that I probably should have gone my gut and changed it up because I've run into Deoxys. So, this isn't exactly a positive matchup for my Ludicolo for a couple reasons. The main one being that the counters add up and the Deoxys charges up its charge moves quicker than my Ludicolo does. The reason why I swapped the way I did, though, was because at this point in the set, I was like, wait, I gotta avoid a Thunderbolt that would deal super effective damage. It would not, because Ludicolo has that grass typing. It actually like neutralizes the Thunderbolt, so it does neutral damage to it, but still, the Rock Slides from Deoxys are going to add up and hurt my Ludicolo also, so it still wasn't a winning lead for me. I bring in Stunfisk and I get immediately met by a Meganium, so this match is continuing to look worse and worse. I'm hoping to just dish off as many discharges as I possibly can to get this Meganium low enough so that when he takes me out, I can bring in my Marowak to commit to a farm down and hopefully use that energy on whatever he has in the back. So he's going for his charge move here. There's no point in me shielding, especially because he definitely overfarmed. So if I do shield, he probably could have sent another Frenzy Plant pretty quick, and it would have been a waste of a shield. So I go with Marowak, and I'm going to commit to the farm down. But the one good thing about Meganium, well, it has a lot of good things, but one good thing about it is that it has a move to counter its counters. That move being this Earthquake. So I'm forced to shield if I want to commit to this farm down. So I now will commit to it, and luckily I was able to shield that Earthquake. And I'm just hoping that whatever he has in the back, my Marowak can deal damage to, and it ends up being an Azumarill. So of course, I want to see Azumarills, but I want to see them on either my Ludicolo or my Stunfisk. Unfortunately, after losing lead, my Ludicolo doesn't end up on this Azumarill. I do go for a quick swap to throw this Energy Ball, but the Azumarill does have 2 shields, so all he has to do is shield up one of these and bring in his Deoxys to deal with my Ludicolo. What he ends up doing, though, is he ends up not overfarming. He ends up getting enough energy to go for its charge move, and I decide not to shield it. It ends up being a Play Rough, and that does solid damage. It does about 2/3 of my health, and then he goes for the swap and brings in his Deoxys. Luckily, I'm able to get to another charge move here, and honestly, I wasn't sure out of which one, Ice Beam or Energy Ball, does more neutral damage, so I kind of just went for the Ice Beam, assuming that it would be the move to go with, and then he just commits to the counter down. So I'm like, alright, Deoxys has Rock Slide on it, so I need to definitely commit a shield here, and because the Rock Slide would deal super effective damage to my Marowak, and I'm hoping that I can overfarm a little bit, but now I need to go for the Bone Club because he farmed up energy on my Ludicolo, and I'm hoping to avoid Rock Slide landing on my Marowak. But what we'll notice here when I throw this Bone Club is that he decides to shield it, so he's going to go for the Rock Slide, and we're going to find out how much damage it ends up being. Honestly, he probably could have let it go through and just had his Azumarill deal with my Marowak, but then again, maybe he was running Ice Beam and Play Rough, so I guess that would have been his smartest play if he wasn't running Hydro Pump on his Azumarill. So Azumarill comes back in, but my Marowak's practically dead at this point, so I'm just going to go for the Shadow Ball just to see how low I could possibly get the Azumarill. And once this lands, you're just going to commit to the Bubble Down, and that's going to take out my Marowak. And now I'm 1-2 in the set. So a couple weaknesses of this team. I definitely don't want to see a Deoxys lead unless you decide to change it up and bring in Stunfisk, which I should have did, and I didn't do. You definitely don't want to see an Azumarill in the back because your main counter for Azumarill is a Ludicolo with its Energy Ball. And even though Stunfisk does have the electric moves to kind of deal with Azumarill, it also has Ice Beam and Bubbles, which are still super effective against Stunfisk. And if the Azumarill is running Hydro Pump, then your Marowak's just going to get screwed over by it. So those are a couple weaknesses so far. We're going to get into this fourth match against Darien Duran, and look who I run into as a lead again. I run into another Deoxys lead, so I'm like, darn, I should have gone for the Stunfisk swap and led with Stunfisk this match. So I really should have went with my gut. I think I decided to play this one out. No, I play this one out the exact same way, trying to catch another charge move, because at this point I'm still worried about that Thunderbolt. I hadn't realized till the next match that Thunderbolt's only neutral. But of course, I bring in my Stunfisk, and what do I get met by? I get met by another Meganium. What are the odds of that? I have no idea. But at this point, I already know that my Stunfisk is pretty screwed here, so I'm going to try and get off as many charge moves as I possibly can. Both Mud Bomb and Discharge are going to be resisted by Meganium, so I just go for the one that deals higher damage, even though it's a little bit more energy. And I'm just hoping he'll throw his Frenzy Plant, so he's going for it now. I'm not going to shield it. I know he overcharged a little bit, but I'm going to do the same thing I did in the last match. I'm going to bring in my Marowak here, and I'm going to just commit to a farm down and hope that with all the energy I get on my Marowak, it could deal solid damage to whatever he has in the back. I also know that Meganium has Earthquake, so I have to commit this shield here so that the Meganium doesn't one-shot my Marowak. I catch the Earthquake on my shield, and now I'm just going to go for full farm down. I still have to be super worried about that Deoxys in the back, because Deoxys can now do solid damage against both of my remaining Pokemon. He brings in this Deoxys, and I'm kind of hoping to bait a shield here. But I guess I should have known it was such an obvious bait that he wasn't going to shield, so I should have gone for the Shadow Ball. I was going to try and swap out just because I want to preserve my Marowak, but we CMP-tied. So he's going for the Rock Slide. I decide to shield that, and at this point I'm like, maybe I don't want to bring in Ludicolo, or maybe I do. So we get a little bit of lag, and I finally get my Ludicolo in. Oh, that's the reason why I wanted to bring in Ludicolo. It had energy. So I was just hoping that maybe I can catch the Rock Slides and the Charge moves on my Ludicolo, and also throw my charge moves so that Deoxys could then not get any more Rock Slides down on my Marowak, because those Rock Slides, they do solid damage to Ludicolo, but they do a lot worse to my poor Marowak. But then he brings in Haunter, and this is GG at this point. Haunter with 2 shields is just going to absolutely slaughter the rest of my team. Haunter with 2 shields is going to slaughter a lot of things. I go for my charge move there, but it's a moot point because Haunter has a higher attack stat than Marowak does, so Haunter is going to win all those CMP situations. And you saw that Shadow Ball just absolutely slaughter my Marowak. So now I'm 1-3, and I'm really thinking to myself, I should swap leads and go with Stunfisk. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm going to swap leads and go with Stunfisk, and then the algorithm's going to be like, you know what? Here's an Azumarill lead. So I commit to the Ludicolo lead, and now we're just going to wait a little bit longer than usual to find this 5th opponent. But once we find this opponent, we're going to realize that it was a mistake for me to continue leading with Ludicolo. But I don't want to say this is a bad team. I really think that just in this entire set, I really got matched up in all the worst possible situations that this team could have faced. I wonder how I could have played. I wonder how certain matchups could have been like if I would have won any of the leads, because I end up literally losing all 5 leads in this set. So now, getting into the 5th and final set of this match, I run into another Deoxys lead, and then I'm really hitting myself that I didn't decide to change leads and bring in Stunfisk. So after the last 2 matches, playing it out, swapping out, and them not working out, I decide to kind of just commit to playing this one a little bit differently, at least not swapping and getting my Stunfisk stuck and then slaughtered by another Meganium. So I go for the Ice Beam there. He decides not to shield, so I'm going to match him for shields and decide not to shield this charge move, which is a Rock Slide. And I'm thinking to myself, how should I play this out? I'm noticing like the counters are adding up. I'm already in the red, so I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely not winning this matchup. I could get to another Ice Beam, and that was probably my main mistake that I made here. I probably should have committed a shield here instead of letting my Ludicolo go down, because if I committed the shield, I get to an Ice Beam, I force the shields, and if he decides not to shield, then I would take out his Deoxys and possibly could have won switch advantage. But regardless, I didn't, so I bring in my Stunfisk here, and then I go for the Discharge, and this will take out the Deoxys because he decides not to shield it either. And then we're waiting to see what he brings in. He brings in Umbreon, and I'm thinking to myself, alright, great. This match is not going to go too well either, mostly because Stunfisk and Umbreon are going to kind of even each other out. They're both going to deal low damage charge moves at each other, because they're both just so bulky, but the Umbreon has Snarl, and Foul Play is a cheaper charge move than at least Discharges, because I'm firing off the Discharges. Maybe I should have gone for the Mud Bombs. That'd be interesting. They both would have done neutral. I know Discharge is stronger, so I'm not really sure which one's more energy efficient. But we're just going to keep on exchanging charge moves here, and we're going to probably match each other for shields, because my opponent definitely realizes that I didn't swap my Stunfisk out, which means that I have something in the back that's going to be weak to his Umbreon, and I do. It ends up being a Marowak. So my goal here is just to get this Umbreon as low as I possibly can so that my Marowak can come in and kind of fire spin it down, and then hopefully deal with whatever other Pokemon he has in the back. So I'm going for another Discharge here. And I don't remember if I've committed the shields yet, but I know the way I play this matchup out is I commit both shields. He doesn't commit the shield on that specific Discharge, and we're at 1 shield apiece, and I'm really just trying to figure out how I could possibly get myself out of this situation, or just hope for whatever Pokemon, like what Pokemon could he possibly have in the back that my Marowak could beat. So I'm going for another Discharge here, and this one's does this one get shielded? I don't even remember. Honestly, it's just literally a lot of like trading blows. This one does get shielded, and now he's going for another one, and I have no shields. But like I said, he ends up literally matching me shield for shield, and he gets me super low, and then I'm starting to become worried about him just completely Snarl farming me down, because he definitely has more energy than me, and if he Snarl farms me down, then he probably has enough for 2 foul plays that would just completely finish off my Marowak. Luckily, I'm able to get to this last Discharge and get his Umbreon super low, so I guess that kind of stressed him out in case I got to another charge move, because he really could have snarled me completely down. But he decides not to. He goes for a foul play, but he definitely got extra energy, and you'll notice that once my Marowak comes in. I'm hoping to bring it in and fire spin down, but once I throw a fire spin, he gets to his charge move, and we'll see how much this foul play ends up doing. If he would have just completely committed to a Snarl farm down, he would have gotten 2 foul plays off, and then he would have just completely slaughtered my Marowak. And then he brings in an Azumarill, and this is like one of the last things I wanted to see in this specific situation. So I'm just going to throw Shadow Ball. I'm going to commit to seeing how low I could possibly get this Azumarill down, but he ends up being a funny guy, and he's going to charge all the way up to his charge move, and when this comes through, you're going to see he decides to go for a Hydro Pump, even though my Marowak's literally at like 5 HP. So that takes me out. I don't blame him. Honestly, if I was in his situation with such a advantage to win a match, I probably would have done the same thing just to be funny. But I end up going 1-4 in this set. And I don't really want to say I don't like the team, but it clearly didn't work out too well for me. I think it definitely has some play, but I couldn't really go over the strengths too much because I literally lost lead in every single matchup, and I was fighting an uphill battle in every match, so all we really got to see in the set was the weaknesses. But please do recommend me Great League, Go Battle League teams in the comment section. I will dedicate 1 out of my 5 sets each day to doing one of those teams, and maybe I'll mix in every other day with some more Mud Boy Madness, just because that is such a solid team that I still feel like we haven't explored all the matchups on it, and I definitely want to cover all of its strengths, all of its weaknesses, just because, again, I really stress that team. It's really good. But please do recommend me teams in the comment section. If I see any of the teams and they look like they have super obvious weaknesses, I might not end up using them. But if they seem like a solid team, because I honestly thought this was going to be a solid team when I use it, and I still don't think it isn't. Again, like I said, ran into a lot of just, not hard counters, but a lot of just poor situations with losing lead. So let me know what you think of this team. But other than that, don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys in the next video.